And our next speaker is Dr. Mopia Goswami, who's a consultant ophthalmic practice, plastics and oncology, lacrimal surgery and facial aesthetics from Narayan Nethralaya, Bangalore. And the talk is going to be an interesting case with a dilemma. And I would like to remind Dr. Neelam that she would be discussing this case. On to you, Dr. Mopia. Can you unmute yourself if you have muted?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Most of the times, the eyelid tumors are big, and it is not difficult to diagnose that it is a cancer. For example, there would be loss of eyelashes in the involved area, loss or obliteration of meibomian gland orifices. There would be widening of the lid margin and abnormal vascularity of the lid margin. And mostly, these cancers are in elderly people. It is not. Slide is not moving. 1 second.
No, it will.
Click on it, it will move. Just take the mouse on it and click. Click whether it's moving.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Sometimes it is very common to have a nodule in the eyelid, and I will be presenting 4 case scenarios and with all nodules in the eyelid. We have to be very wary of the eyelid nodules because sometimes it can be a nodular sebaceous gland carcinoma. And as we know, sebaceous gland carcinoma is the most common eyelid malignancy in India, and because it has a very aggressive behavior, and it can result in recurrent systemic metastasis and death, and therefore it is imperative for us to know the early telltale signs. So I will go to case 2 first, which is of a 55-year-old lady who had upper eyelid swelling since a few months, and there was no previous history of eyelid surgery, and she had a nodular growth like this, and on eversion you can see that a nodular lesion fixed to the tarsus. So ocular examination was normal, and there was no palpable preauricular lymphadenopathy. It was one of my very early cases when I had just started my practice, and then what I did was to remove it fully because I did not think it was a chalazion. But I did not keep very wide margins because I was quite naive then, and so I had removed the nodule and I had supposed the wound with direct closure. And histopathology was a surprise to me. It was a sebaceous gland carcinoma, as you can see here, in low power lobule of tumor with neoplastic cells in the periphery, and in the center pink area we can see comedonecrosis, which is typical of SGC. In high power field, we can see that the lobule composed of polygonal cells, which are large in size with clear cytoplasm, and the nuclei shows moderate pleomorphism. And in the third photo, we can see that there is a area of squamous differentiation in the periphery here. Look back at the lesion. Yes, we have the red flags here. It is a nodular swelling arising from the tarsal plate. We can see that there are dilated abnormal vessels on the surface. There is effacement of the meibomian orifices in that segment locally, and age of the patient was more than 40. That is, she was 55 years old, which is less likely for a chalazion. However, there was no loss of eyelashes. So I took up the case again, and I excised this area. I had taken margins, another, beyond the 4 millimeter margins, I had taken 2 millimeter margin in the lateral margin, medial and superior, as a frozen section was not available. For nodular, very specific nodular lesions, map biopsy is not necessary, but however, I had also done map biopsy in this case, and I had reconstructed the eyelid with Cutler-Baird surgery. So this case is under follow-up, and she's doing well. Now the next case came to me this year. He's a 50-year-old male, and he had ptosis in the eye on examination, and he had undergone INC twice for chalazion in this year, and the lesion was quick to grow back in a few months. And on examination, it was a firm globular mass fixed to the tarsal plate, and there was no sign of inflammation, and the overlying skin was free. It could be pinched easily. And on eversion of the eyelid, we could see that there is a nodular swelling here, with pigmentation in the center. There are dilated blood vessels, and few meibomian orifices were not clearly seen. And so I had a suspicion of a cancer in this case. So I had removed that segment of the eyelid, and the histopathology came as a tarsal cyst, which shows the H&E slide shows a cyst which is lining made up of keratinized squamous epithelium. Here you can see with a granular layer, and there was dense inflammation, as you can see in this arrow, and this side shows normal sebaceous glands here. So keratinous cyst in the tarsal plate is a third common primary intratarsal lesion after chalazion and sebaceous gland carcinoma. Anterior fixation of the lesion to the tarsus and posterior protrusion beneath the tarsal conjunctiva without inflammation differentiates it from chalazion. Keratinous cysts have cornified epithelium with distinct granular layer. It contains lamellated keratin without calcification. Recurrence occurs after incomplete excision, just like a cancer. And the optimal treatment in this case is en bloc excision of the cyst with tarsectomy or wide excision with intratarsal cautery of any remnant of the cellular lining. The fourth case is also nodular swelling. And you can see that there is no loss of eyelashes. And it is of a 60-year-old man who had previous multiple curettage for suspected chalazion. Effacement of meibomian gland orifices, yes, a few are seen here. And we can see multiple nodules. And however, there is no loss of eyelashes. And I feel that here in this region, the mass extends beyond the upper edge of the tarsal plate. And ocular examination was essentially normal. Ocular motility was full and free. MRI orbit I did because here medially, nasally, I do not know whether the extent of the tumor. And so MRI orbit did not show infiltration of the muscle or orbital involvement. And I did a wide excision with 4 millimeters of clinically clear margin and again 2 millimeters on the sides. And I reconstructed the eyelid with tensile flap. And histopathology was sebaceous gland carcinoma, and the margins were negative for tumor cells, and systemic examination was normal, and the patient is under follow-up. Now, case number 1, which I have not told till yet. Case number 1 presented with pain and swelling with inflammation, and when I evert the eyelid, the meibomian glands are normal, and here you can see granulation tissue, and therefore the first case is of a chalazion. Therefore, in a nodular eyelid swelling, we should remember, in addition to chalazion, a tarsal cyst as well as a sebaceous gland carcinoma, all three of them are quite common. Tarsal cyst and sebaceous gland carcinoma are painless, whereas chalazion will present with pain and tenderness and signs of inflammation. Chalazion and tarsal cyst would be within the tarsal plate, whereas sebaceous gland carcinoma, the eyelid nodule can extend beyond the upper edge of the tarsal plate. Chalazion and tarsal cyst, chalazion in the younger population, tarsal cyst can happen in any age, whereas sebaceous gland carcinoma usually happens above 40 years of age. The skin over the chalazion and chalazion as well as the nodular sebaceous gland carcinoma would be tense, and whereas in a tarsal cyst, the skin can be easily pinched over the swelling. And of course, in a sebaceous gland carcinoma, rounding of the posterior lid margin, loss of meibomian orifices, all that would be there, which would not be there in case of a chalazion and tarsal cyst. Therefore, the take-home points in these cases are that we should look for, in a nodular swelling of the eyelid, we should look for red flags. Histopathology, of course, is the key to diagnosis. In chalazions which are suspicious, the wall of the chalazion needs to be sent for histopathology. In recurrent lesions, en bloc excision needs to be done with clear margins. Incisional biopsy may be needed for very large lesions, and strict close follow-up for early diagnosis of local recurrence or intraepithelial disease is a must in case of sebaceous gland carcinoma. Thank you for patient hearing.
That was a wonderful talk, Dr. Mopia. Really interesting.
You,
we go on to the discussion now. Dr. Neelam?
we'll stop share. Yes.
Dr. Neelam, are you there?
Sorry, let me just unmute and yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing my slides, just few slides. So can you see my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not going to slideshow. Yeah, now I think it's
Yeah.
okay. So Dr. Mopia, she presented very interesting cases, I must say. The fourth case I wasn't aware of. So here I'll be discussing about these three cases. The fourth one was Calazion, so that will include the thing. So two cases were of sebaceous gland carcinoma, and we know that this is the commonest eyelid malignancy. So one patient, the first case was 55-year-old, the other one was 60-year-old. So we generally see sebaceous gland carcinoma in this age group only. Signs of malignancy, we can see the posterior lamella was damaged here, and it is a solid a raised yellowish lesion. That is a typical clinical presentation. Then here in the other case, we can see there are multiple nodules. Again, it is damaging the posterior lamella, and the yellowish discoloration of the lipid can be seen. Both were there in the upper lid, which is the commonest site of sebaceous gland carcinoma, we all know. So slit lamp examination is very important in all these eyelid malignancies. So particularly in sebaceous gland carcinoma, we have to look for pagetoid spread. Rose Bengal stain helps in picking up the devitalized conjunctival area, though it leads to little ocular surface irritation and not that commonly used. But for PGs, it's important to remember that Rose Bengal stain is important stain. So differentials in this particular age group, they aren't many. Generally, they present with recurrent, chalazion. Ruptured chalazion or pyogenic granuloma, they are generally seen here. You can see in the picture here. So if you compare with this one, the case one, you'll see that it's more of pinkish, fleshy appearance, especially pyogenic granuloma is more pedunculated, and you see some inflammation all around this, generally seen in a younger population. So management, as Dr. Mopias rightly did, frozen guided excision of tumor, and the reconstruction was done by using Cutler-Beard surgery in one case. The other case, Tenzel's flap was done. So important tips here I would like to mention first, and most important is that whenever we come across any suspicious malignant lesion, we should take a biopsy so that we can have a proper planned way definitive procedure we can proceed with. And frozen guided excision of tumor is standard, but if suppose this is not available, then one should go ahead with wide excision. So wide excision means around 3 to 4 millimeter extra normal healthy eyelid tissue we have to take out full thickness. And we should ask the pathologist to check the margins specifically when we are doing wide excision. Then conjunctival map biopsy, as we all know in sebaceous gland carcinoma, we have to do to look for pagetoid spread. Then TNM staging we have to do in all these patients. Regional spread is the commonest spread, so we have to look clinically for any lymph nodes. And it's better to get one ultrasound done, which is a very simple procedure. The other thing we should remember is when we order ultrasound, we should always mention for the preauricular parotid group of lymph nodes, because they are not included in the neck lymph node. If we write only neck lymph nodes, then the radiologist will only look for submental, submandibular and other cervical lymph nodes. So specifically, we should mention that we have to see the preauricular and parotid group of lymph nodes also. And most of the studies, they have shown that 80% of these tumors, irrespective of the site, whether it is on the medial or the lateral side, the metastasis occurs to the preauricular group of lymph nodes. Then PET scan, whether we should do, yes, in advanced tumor, we should do a baseline PET scan. Then regular follow-up is must. Apart from the local recurrence which we see, we should get ultrasound done, or clinically at least we should examine again for these group of lymph nodes. I personally follow up 6 monthly these patients for 2 to 3 years at least. And PET scan, if it is advanced tumor, that means if orbital involvement was there or exentration was done, then 1 yearly at least we should do for say a duration of 2 to 3 years. But this all depends on the case to case. Now just to highlight about one very important diagnostic tool which we have is the ultrasound biomicroscopy. This was a study done long time back, in 2007 this was published. This picture is from the same, so you can see that ultrasound biomicroscopy, it has a very high resolution. So if you see the histopathology, it matches with the, the ultrasound UBM pattern of the cellular arrangement matches with the histopathology. So this is one very important diagnostic tool, which is, I feel is underutilized for eyelid lesions. This is another case of sebaceous gland carcinoma. Again, you can see the arrangement of cells and the septa and all that so nicely on UBM. And this is of a simple cyst of the eyelid. So you can see a round, nice, cyst, which clearly will tell you that this is a benign cystic lesion. Then specifically about the locally advanced lesion, sebaceous gland carcinoma, nowadays we we have moved from the, doing the primary surgery to first chemo reduce the tumor so that we can do a better surgery, give a better cosmesis to the patient, because once the tumor is chemo reduced, the amount of lid removal will be less and patient will have a better cosmesis. So, but still we need more studies on this to see the long-term results of giving new adjuvant chemotherapy followed by local resection. So these are two very interesting questions. I thought it will be of help to the PG students as well as the young oculoplasty surgeons. That first question is, should we send the specimen of all curated chalazion for histopathology routinely? My answer is yes. Every case, like Dr. Milind said, that every benign case or whatever tissue we have, we should always send for histopathology. So here I would strongly recommend, and that is my standard teaching also, that whatever tissue we take out, whatever benign tissue, we should always send for histopathology. The second question is, should we do biopsy in all suspicious malignant eyelid lesions before the definitive procedure? Again, my answer is yes, because it will help us in planning the surgery in a better way. Thank you. So I think these two questions, maybe we have expert panelists here, so we can discuss what their opinion is about this. Thank you.
That was a very nice discussion, Dr. Neelam. The entire sequence of the speaker and the discussion was a lot of learning. Anything, any expert panel would like to add? Dr. Ashok, or shall we go on to our next set? Nice to have you back. I think it must have been a tedious run from place to place to identify the right spot.
Can I say something?
Yes, Dr. Abjit.
So basically, I have a little difference here in opinion regarding the biopsy for every chalazion. Personally, if it is a young child who has a chalazion or even a young adult, and we know that there has been an episode of blepharitis before that or something, I personally would not go ahead and send that tissue for biopsy, especially when there is a constraint of finance, time, because in institutions like where we are working, we have few pathologists and all of they just get loaded with biopsy specimens from all departments. So personally, I don't send all curates of the chalazion for biopsy. However, having said that, if there is something which is suspicious, like the age or the recurrence, even if it is a young person, then I send it for biopsy.
Thank you,
Makes sense.
Chitra.
Yes.
I think I would agree with Neelam with regard to taking a biopsy in all malignant lesions, malignant looking lesions, before doing a definitive management, because it makes a huge difference. For the chalazion, yes, I would again say that I do not send it in obvious chalazion with a multiple chalazion where the lesion is obviously benign in young and in children. Yes, I also don't send biopsies.